Welcome to Conspiracy Theories. Today we're going to have a talk about COVID-19 vaccine conspiracies.
In November 2019, a 55-year-old man from Hubei province in China was diagnosed with a new disease caused by a new virus SARS-CoV version 2. In the beginning of 2020, the coronavirus pandemic has infected an enormous amount of people worldwide. Countries closed their borders, announced lockdowns, and people were asked to follow protective measures against the new coronavirus, such as physical distancing or hand washing. Healthcare systems were often not properly prepared to handle the influx of cases, and arguably the public information system was also not prepared either. Already in February 2020, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, the Director General of WHO, warned the world is not just fighting an epidemic, but we're fighting an infodemic. Fake news spread faster and more easily than this virus, and is just as dangerous. Two theories in the origin of COVID-19 have been widely circulating in China and the West respectively. One blaming the United States and the other a highest level biocontainment laboratory in Wuhan, the initial epicenter of pandemic. Both theories make claims of biological warfare attempts. According to the available scientific evidence, these claims are groundless. However, like the episode of biological warfare during the mid-20th century, the spread of these present-day conspiracy theories reflect a series of long-standing and damaging trends in the international scenes, which includes deep mistrust and animosities, the power of ideological such as nationalism, and the sacrifice of truth in propaganda campaigns. Also, the threat associated with the biological warfare, bioterrorism, and the accidental leakage of deadly virus from the labs are real and growing. Thus, developing a better global governance on biosafety and biosecurity that exists at present is an urgent imperative for the international community in broader context of the looming Cold War II. For such a governance, an ethical framework is proposed based upon the triple ethical value of transparency, trust, and the common good of humanity. The devastating consequences of COVID-19 pandemic for individuals, families, communities, countries, and the world as a whole offer vivid proof that microbes could just as destructive and terrifying, if not more so, than the use of nuclear weapons. And it is much less difficult to forge biological weapons than nuclear ones. As a result, driven by their hunger for power and dominion, states and terrorists groups may feel increasingly tempted to access and exercise such super biological mean of destruction. Furthermore, the safety of scientific laboratories where the most dangerous pathogens are researched has been a sword of Damocles hanging over humankind. Through examining two popular conspiracy theories on the origin of COVID-19 and the historical background of biological warfare during the mid-20th century, this article will demonstrate the urgency of a much higher level of global governance of biosafety and biosecurity.
Next, we're going to discuss what evidence we have found that proves and disproves the conspiracy of microchips in the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine was created with the intention of using nanotransductors in our brains or microchip tracking to regulate the general population, but studies say and show that the vaccination cannot track or collect personal data. Our first evidence is what Bill Gates said in an interview discussing the vaccine about having digital certificates. A study explains technology that could use specialized ink given simultaneously with an injection, storing people's vaccination records. The certificates were to demonstrate who had recovered, undergone testing, or received a vaccine. It was developing open source platform for safe at-home testing. He did not mention anything about microchips. The technology discussed in the article better matched an invisible tattoo rather than a microchip. Our second evidence is that a COVID-19 vaccination is magnetic due to microchips and metals. Multiple videos posted to social media have shown people testing the injection area for a magnetic attraction of any kind, and succeeding with a metal spoon hanging off their arm. Unfortunately, or maybe it is fortunate, this theory has been deconstructed by physics and medical experts. The bottom line is that none of the approved vaccines contain metallic ingredients. To further explain, for the population's sake of understanding, they created a false scenario of magnetic metals in the COVID vaccination. It would not cause a magnetic reaction, but for it to do so, a whole gram of iron metal is needed. Now, that is exactly enough to attract and support a magnet, meaning that 1 gram in your arm would feel quite noticeable. The point is that that amount of metal is entirely too big to be present in just one dose. Our next evidence is debunked without proof for the conspiracy in the coming topic, again due to sizing factors. Syringes used for the vaccine administration are not able to accommodate a standard microchip, or at least one with 5G functionality. So these syringes are 25 to 22 gauge needles, which is about 0.26 and 0.41 millimeters in diameter. There is just no way a 5G chip, a little smaller than a penny for your reference, would fit. Regardless, a vaccination injection goes into the muscle where biohacks chips only go under the skin. Biohacks chips are about the size of a rice grain. It's something people may use to pay without swiping a card or keyless access to a building. You wouldn't even need to carry around a wallet anymore. Anyway, it is approximately 13 times larger than the standard vaccine needle. And this is our last one, and this point can be connected to the one before as well. Any microchip that small would have to have an associated power source. Even if it was able to exist and work without an antenna attached, it couldn't possibly be a guaranteed administration for each patient. These nurses and doctors get multiple doses out of one vial. It is possible that 2 chips would go into 1 dose or none at all. Then it would need to send a signal to a separated device through skin, fat, and muscle. Experts say that it doesn't make any sense. One reason is the amount of money it would cost to make so many of these chips. 1 chip alone would be expensive due to just size and function requirements. Plus, companies can learn just as much about you through your pocketed phone. They already collect and sell your data without the one major element in this discussion, which is a vaccine.
In conclusion, the persuasive spread of conspiracy theories surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic and the vaccines developed to combat it reflects a broader societal issue of mistrust, misinformation, and fear. From the theory of microchips being implanted through vaccines to claims of the virus being a bioweapon, these unfounded beliefs have sown doubt and hindered public health efforts. This is demonstrated by the analysis of 2 theories as they fail to hold up against scientific scrutiny and rational examination. The notion that COVID-19 vaccines contain microchips is debunked through multiple lines of evidence. Bill Gates' discussion on digital certificates was misinterpreted. The technology mentioned involved an invisible tattoo for vaccination records, not microchips. Additionally, the claim that vaccines are magnetic due to metallic ingredients has been proven wrong by experts, who explain that quantities required for such an effort are implausibly large for a single dose. Furthermore, the physical dimensions of vaccine syringes makes it impossible to accommodate standard microchips, let alone those with 5G functionality. Lastly, the logistics and cost of manufacturing and developing such microchips are unfeasible, especially considering existing data collection methods through smartphones. Parallel to these vaccine-related conspiracies are theories about the origins of COVID-19. The idea that virus was engineered as a biological weapon by either the United States or a Chinese lab lacks scientific support and perpetuates a dangerous narrative. These claims are reminiscent of mid-20th century biological warfare episodes, highlighting the persistent threats of bioterrorism and accidental pathogen leak from research labs. The ongoing mistrust and ideological battles underscore the necessity for enhanced global governance in biosafety and security. The COVID-19 pandemic has illuminated the dire consequences of inadequate preparedness and misinformation. It underscores the need for a robust, ethical framework for global health governance based on transparency, trust, and the common good. The threat posed by biological agents is comparable to that of nuclear weapons, making it imperative for the international community to address these challenges proactively. Strengthening the safety protocol of scientific laboratories and fostering global cooperation are crucial steps in mitigating the risk of future pandemic and bioterrorism. Overall, the fight against the pandemic is twofold: combating the virus itself and addressing the infodemic of false information. The lessons learned from the crisis must drive a concreted effort towards building a more resilient, informed, and united global community. The path forward demands vigilance, scientific integrity, and a commitment to safeguarding public health against biological threats and the spread of misinformation.
I hope you have enjoyed this chapter of COVID-19 vaccine conspiracies. See you soon.
The information explained in this section is taken from reports and videos sourcing accredited professionals. From BBC, Coronavirus Bill Gates Microchip Conspiracy Theory and Other Vaccine Claims Fact-Checked. From CBC Kids News, Why There Are No Microchips in the COVID-19 Vaccine. From CNBC, Why the COVID vaccines can't contain a tracking microchip or make you magnetic. From Reuters Fact Check, magnetic test does not prove COVID-19 jabs contain metal or microchip. Sources are listed in order according to the evidence discussed.